Heart of Her, where we get real about the heart, hustle, and healing behind modern womanhood. I'm your host, Shaun Watts, and today is all about where bold leadership meets smart growth.
Hmm.
Joining us is Carissa Moreno with Launch and Lead. Carissa is an entrepreneur coach, strategist, and your go to guide for building a business that doesn't just grow, it scales with purpose. Let's dive deep into the mindset methods and moves of powerful leaders who are building legacy businesses, not just bigger, but better. From scaling systems to stepping into your next level of leadership, we're here to cut through the noise and give you the clarity, confidence, and the strategy you need to lead powerfully and scale intentionally. This isn't hustle culture, it's a high impact leadership for visionaries who are ready to rise. Get ready to grow. Hey, Carissa, glad to
Hi,
have you
Shaun.
here.
Hi, Shaun. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I know it's been a long time coming, and we are ready because I'm sure we have several entrepreneurs out there that are looking to grow their business,
Yeah.
whether they are already doing extremely well and they're ready to take it to the next level, or in case they are a startup that is just looking for some tips and some tricks to keep things moving slowly. Let's go ahead and give the audience a little bit about your background.
Well, to get started, started my entrepreneurship journey realistically at like 15. I was, kind of doing hair for the dances at school. That was like my side hustle at the time. So I got bit by the bug, so to speak, really early. I actually started creating my legit business really back in 2016 when I learned neurolinguistic programming. I don't know if you're familiar with NLP, but what NLP is basically learning how your brain works and functions, and so that you can, overcome whether it's your self boundaries, sabotage, or things that you kind of struggle with internally. It's more of like inner communication. And the reason why that started was because, like a lot of us, we kind of grew up with some events that had either happened where we developed limiting beliefs. And in my case, I had a lot of trauma around my parents' divorce when I was 4. I grew up with some hardships around that. My dad was an addict for some years, so there was some trials around that. And then I was in a past relationship where it was a little bit more abusive in that way. As I started to grow older, I said, you know what? I feel like I need to understand how I work, how my brain works. That catapulted me into working with coaches because we tend to have things that do hold us back. We want and aspire and feel like we have a calling to give to the world. And my mission in the beginning was to help coaches do that, to allow things to, whether it's heal or whether it's to get over something or to heal from something or to go through a challenge that we tend to have trouble navigating. That was the start of it. I started doing more social media management, helping coaches get more visible. That led to what I'm doing now, which is now leading women entrepreneurs to build and scale their businesses through webinars and kind of doing the online space. I know a lot of people have a very weird relationship with tech, but I actually enjoy website building and doing funnels and things like that. So I kind of just been doing that for the past years or so. So it's been fun.
I love your story.
Thank
So,
you.
what does leading powerfully mean to you, and how has that evolved over time?
So leading powerfully means to me like leading from your essence, leading from your core of leadership, your core confidence, what makes you you. So that's essentially how you lead powerfully in my perspective is that when you are constantly showing up authentically as yourself from your core essence, that's where you find your people that you're meant to serve.
A pivotal moment where you had to completely shift your leadership style?
Yes, I would say definitely there were a few pivotal moments where I had to shift my leadership style. When you first go into business, you're kind of trying to essentially, to at least for me, and what I've seen in my experience is you're kind of pleasing the masses. You're kind of trying to like out whether it's lowering your prices or giving a little more or trying to establish credibility. There's a sense of overgiving or people pleasing to a degree just to make sure you're putting food on the table, right? Make sure you're gaining momentum. And there was a moment where it seemed like my clients are being way more demanding than it was actually me being able to serve them. And what I realized is that when you're over giving and you're over expressing or expanding yourself and putting yourself thin, it's actually a disservice to both of you. It's a disservice not only to you, but to them as well, because they feel like they want more, like they're just like more demanding and they feel like they can like do more or want more from you because you're so spread thin that you're trying to do all these different things versus standing in that power and only giving to a certain amount of people so that you can actually serve them as a whole and with all of you versus like pieces of you, which is why they get more demanding.
Absolutely. Overextension can definitely do more harm than it can good. And it
Mhm.
also stunts your growth at times. Because if you are not leading at your best and you're not projecting at your best, scheduling at your best, then that
Right.
affects the quality of your service or your product at times, or just the overall customer experience. Also, you begin to feel burnout a lot quicker.
Mm.
So when things are getting hectic, how do you maintain your vision and your clarity when uncertainty and chaos sort of seeps in?
I like that question because uncertainty does happen as you start to grow and you start to do more things that you're technically unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with, maybe in the moment, you are going to feel that sense of uncertainty or unclarity. So, what it all tends to start boiling down to are your core money making activities. Money making activities doesn't always mean being in the DMs or launching something, although that should be part of it. It should also mean you taking care of yourself because sales and making money is directly related to how you feel, right? It's related to your nervous system. So if you're constantly feeling anxious or feeling nervous all the time, it's very important to have in your team to regulate and you tell yourself you're doing something good. It is uncomfortable, but you're safe. Always having that regimen. So essentially, I have 5 core things that I do to keep me in that place where it's one, yes, making sure I'm serving my clients that I have. Two is always connecting, whether it's in the DMs or on social media, always connecting with someone. Three, movement is a huge thing for me. Just going out walking doesn't have to be anything wild. Making sure I empty my mind. When there's uncertainty, we tend to overthink, right? There tends to be a lot of overthinking. And so journaling it out for me is important. So taking 5 minutes to journal, 10 minutes, however long it really takes, but at least five to just journal everything out. Number five is making sure I'm in a creative space. So not only emptying the negative feelings that you may have, but also applying positive feelings. So I want to feel more creative. I want to start feeling more confident. So doing things for that.
That was going to be my segue into the internal work that we do and the mindset that we have to have. Sometimes we have to shift that and it helps us to become more empowered. You're more empowered, then you're able to lead more effectively. So I love that you mentioned taking care of yourself and the journaling and setting goals because it's important to be able to do that and to do it often,
Yes.
not necessarily, every day. Even the goal setting can happen every quarter. That way you can look back at things and you can see how was the performance this particular term and what do I need to change or adjust in order for it to grow. And if it was great, then how can we expand even bigger or how can we capitalize on that? How can we make sure that we continue to stay in the same trajectory? So I love that you are well versed in aligning the mindset and doing the internal work and knowing that that's only going to improve your output. So thank you for sharing that. There are a lot of people out there that are feeling overwhelmed and
Yes.
They don't quite understand hustle culture is harmful. To think that we always have to be on, we always have to be doing something, we have to just grow, grow, grow. And then when you don't hit your target, you're devastated
Mhm.
because you poured all of these things into it and you don't see any movement.
Yeah.
It's always important to just stop and reassess. That's
Yeah.
something that I love to drive home to people. So with that being said, when did you know that it was time to scale? It's kind of like we got to a good place, we're doing well, we might be coasting. How did you know it was time to scale? And then what did the first step look like?
You know, it's time to scale when you start to feel. So this is gonna sound interesting. So when you start to feel a little, whether it's too comfortable or not even that, when you start to feel stagnant. Because when you start to feel stagnant, like you're not really going up, but you're in a comfortable place, what is and can come next is unfulfillment. You know, you could tend to start to feel like, okay, what am I doing? You'll tend to kind of drop off. Business doesn't seem as exciting because it's the same thing every day. Imagine doing the same thing every day, getting the same results, and over time, it can start to feel like you kind of get less excited. Imagine repeating yourself over and over and over and over and doing the same thing. It's like, it's like you're excited and you love doing it. But then when you start to get that comfortability, it's like, okay, maybe I need to start adding a little bit more, whether it's scalability. Let's look at expanding. Let's look at what that would look like, what actually sounds exciting to wake up in the morning and do more of. That's when it's time to essentially look at the business and say, do I want to stay here? Do I feel like I would get bored of this? Do I need to add something to not really essentially add, but maybe expand more, get more people in, all of that, like kind of get a scope of things, big picture.
People put a time frame on it and it's not all centered around a specific time frame.
Mm.
What is a common mistake that you see entrepreneurs make when they're trying to scale either too soon or too fast?
I would say a common mistake. This is also with just starting your business and wanting to go big and wanting to get into this higher position is the patience of actually navigating through it. So what happens is like, okay, yeah, we set a new goal. It's time to go after the goal. What we don't know is that we don't know whether it's a challenge, whether it's something that could essentially start to sway you from the goal. And we tend to get very impatient. Essentially, the message here is be patient with the results, but impatient with your skills. If there's something that does come up, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to, whether it's take away or skill up in? So that is something you can absolutely control. What you can't control are the results when you get there. So being patient with the journey, but be impatient with your growth. If there's something that you do need to learn to get to that level, then that's where you want to like, okay, how do I do that?
That's great. A lot of times our teams need adjusting as well, especially if you're a small business owner. Staffing is something that you struggle with in the beginning because you want to make sure that you are covering your overhead if you have any, and then that you are making as much profit as you possibly can. So then we dive
Yeah.
into automation and delegation and
Yes.
keeping your brand human though, because when you're moving into allowing someone else, you're relinquishing that control and giving it over to someone else. They don't have the same heart and desire and the core mission that you have within you that you want to see for your particular brand. How do you keep it as human as possible as you grow?
That's a very good question. And I know that this is going to probably be different for everyone. But to keep things human is to connect with humans, like where you actually connect with your clients. Keep that human, keep that either with you or with someone you trust that you've, gone through like a vetting type of process where you feel comfortable as like a second version of you that you know that they will take care of them. And to always listen to your clients, get feedback. Because when your clients start to feel unheard, that's where it's like, okay, they just brush me away. I'm in a system. I'm just being automated. Um, I would recommend always only automating what feels like needing to again, a sales call is a human experience. It's
Mhm.
something that, especially if they're investing a lot of money in, you always keep like the DMs, even keep that human. There's some things to automate that you can in the DMs, like, hey, if you want this checklist, here's something you can receive. They know for the most part that that's automated. But when you have a conversation, definitely I recommend keeping that human. Automate the things that doesn't really need that human touch. Automate like an email. You don't have to personally send it to thousands of people, depending on your list, right? But you
Mhm.
can write the email, keep that human. If you use ChatGPT, that is a thing, right? AI. Um, Add your personal touch to it. Don't just let AI take control and you're not adding your flavor. Add your flavor to it. Add your personal touches, do some editing, whether it's you or someone, again, who you vetted that you feel understands that personal touch that you give. Don't just hand it off to a VA that doesn't really know your company, that doesn't really know. Again, that all depends on how you want your clients to receive you. If you automate things that should be feel more like human, that's how it's going to be. That's the relationship. They're building a relationship with a bot rather than you. So if you want to keep it human, put the human where it makes sense to put them and then automate the things that's like, okay, this can just be automated.
Relationships and being interpersonal, having those connections, people don't realize how important that is to business. As
There,
humans, we want to be made to feel special, to feel unique at times. We want to know that we matter to you more than just being a consumer. Very important to make sure that you keep authenticity there. People are not only believing in your brand and they don't just like your product, they like you. They're believing, they're supporting, they're pouring into you. Sephora, for example, you can go into the Sephora counter and you can see tons of lines of different cosmetics. The difference is not necessarily just the quality or the packaging, it's the connections that have been made through whatever type of advertising media or speaking with someone, something that could be not even related to cosmetics. Take Rihanna, for example. If you're looking at Fenty, people don't use her products just because of the quality of the product. They were already Rihanna fans. Maybe her story resonated with them. The way that she's now a mom. There's a lot of things that pour into that. So you do want to make sure that you keep yourself as close to your brand as possible. And then while you're close to your brand, you're also close to your clients or your consumers.
yes. One thing I would add to that is having those core values. I love how you mentioned her story and what she believes in, even. All of that stems from her values and what she believes in that are important. And so communicating that with your team, like, hey, like we value, say, our clients, we value integrity, we value heart. Just having those list of core values that your team is all on board on. And that way they can operate from that place as well when they write copy for you, if you have a copywriter. If
Mhm.
they edit something for you, they know they're coming from that place and they can make decisions based off of those core values and knowing the mission and what you believe in.
Absolutely. It's like a band. You have all these people that are playing these different instruments and they come
Right.
in at different times throughout the composition, but it should all be on the forefront of one band, one sound.
Yep.
Together, we all need to be
I
able
love
to work
that.
cohesively. Sometimes we forget that. You're just like, okay, you take care of it.
Yeah.
You-
You do your thing and you do your thing. And
yes, yes,
yes,
yes.
it could definitely conflict for sure if you don't have that.
Well, going back to reflection, what's one decision that you made during a scaling phase that you do differently now?
Honestly, I underestimated clarity. Being more clear about your vision. Clarity can't be more underestimated, but also so important. I kind of would love to be that and actually standing for it and just having the vivid clarity for me was underestimated. It's like, oh yeah, I kind of want to make this amount of money and kind of want to do these things. And it was all when you say that, I kind of want to, it's like you're not certain, it'd be nice, like, but having that clarity so vivid in you and standing for it and essentially expecting that, like, no, this is happening, having that expectation, that for me was something that I definitely underestimated.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And also just being concise. A lot of times things are all over the place. There are too many moving
Moving
parts. And
parts.
you have to be able to focus on one lane, and then generally it's going to sprinkle out into everything else. And with
Yeah.
that being said, we start to think about the systems and the processes that we have to implement to be able to grow sustainably. You don't know where to start, like, especially if you start with your own research, right? Like you
Yes.
head straight to the internet. Maybe you've gone to a workshop or something. You've heard some people say some things, but the moment you get on your device and you start Googling or you start researching, then you're going to get all of these suggestions and it just becomes overwhelming. Oh my goodness. So, to cut out some of that for clients, what systems and processes have you used that have worked effectively? And of course, it's not going to work for everybody, but to hear it from a trusted source where it's been tried, true, and it's working, can some things that you actually use,
Some systems, you mean?
systems or processes?
So it depends on what you're trying to achieve. It's what you're trying to achieve to cut the noise. Again, that clarity of knowing what you want. Like on my clients, for example, who want to build a business without having to be so much in the business. They want to go from a one-on-one model to a one-to-many model. They want to be able to serve more people because they know that what they're doing is working, and they know I'm working 10, 14 hours. I need to implement systems so that I can no longer have to work this much, but also be clear on how much you want to work, be clear on the type of client you are here to serve, be clear on actually how you want to work in your business versus you feeling like, oh, I could do this or I can kind of do this. How do you actually want to work in your business? Do you want to have time off? Do you want to go on vacation? Do you want things to work for you while you sleep? Where are you at in terms of how you want to build and how you want to scale? So if you're in that place of, I want to not do so much one-on-one and I want to scale, my system is, and what I use and what I use with my clients is with webinars, being able to learn the speaking skill, being able to launch one thing, have one funnel, have one offer, and you just rinse and repeat, and it's going to give you 10, 20 plus clients every time, depending on what your goal is. So for me, it's webinars, it's leveraging speaking, leveraging systems like Kajabi. I recommend Kajabi for the entrepreneur who still wants to be involved in the system, and they want to be able to go in there and go into the community. They want to be able to kind of work things and understand how their system works. They do want a user-friendly option, but also have a professional look and a professional like system and platform. That's why I recommend Kajabi, and I use that with my clients all the time. But having a system like that, having something that actually is going to help gain back more of your time, leverage your voice, speaking, knowing how to offer on a webinar, knowing how to understand conversion, and then amplifying that, being able to harness those numbers and make it better each and every time. So if the first round gave you 5 clients, now let's refine that. Now we know where their gaps are, if there is any, and maybe a skill we need to work on. Maybe I need to work on my offer skill, like how to actually offer. Because here's what happens a lot of times. I'm talking a lot, but what happens a lot of times is when you get to the offer, confidence goes down because it's like, oh, I'm going to ask for money. If that does come up for you, this came up during the webinar. We still got X amount of signups, but I know if we do this better, it's going to obviously go up from there. So knowing how you want to work in your business, what your goals are, good, better, best, and then putting systems in place to achieve that. And that's, for me, webinars. One funnel doesn't need to be complicated. Knowing who your ideal client is, having an offer, and then just getting that on repeat.
You are a plethora of wonderful, wonderful information, and I'm so glad to
Thank
have you
you.
here. I'm
Thank you
thinking
so
as
much.
you're speaking, I'm listening. With intent. But I just want to make sure that we give our viewers as much as we can give them. And when I
Totally.
say you are delivering, you are delivering. So
Nice.
thank you so much for being so willing to share and not gatekeeping at all. People run into that, and it's iron sharpens iron. You have
Yes.
to be able to position yourself around like-minded people in order to be able to grow. A lot of times people don't understand the value of networking. I
100%.
would like to know what KPIs or metrics do you actually care about as a leader? You spoke a little bit about, okay, when I look at the conversion, I know that the way that I delivered it is going to yield so many clients. But which metrics do you actually care about as a leader? Give us the goods.
Yes. I'll give you a few that I feel like are important when you launch. So, like after webinar kind of thing. But then there's also an important metric that is very much overlooked almost 100% of the time in my experience. So there's something called launch math that I do with my clients. This is what we do before each and every launch. We go through the math, and at the end of it, we know at an estimate, obviously, because we haven't been through the launch yet. It's not for certain, but we know a very good estimate as to how much clients we will have by the end of it. So that gives us a tell sign of, if this is what it is now, how can we make it better before we even launch, right? So how can we make our chances better? With all of that, after you go through the webinar, a very important metric is how your funnel is converting, because that tells you how well you're speaking to your ideal client avatar, how well it's converting, if there needs to be restructure. So looking at that, and I'm speaking more of like an organic place, not so much like if you run ads, because if you are having trouble with organic reach, then ads aren't going to make it better. It's going to probably give you a little bit more headache than anything. So one is how your funnel is converting. Two is how well your list is building. So like, are people actually interested in what you're saying? Are people actually opting in? Are they actually wanting to know more from you? And how well your emails are being opened? What does that look like? And then number three is, obviously the conversion rate from the sale. So after you've made your offer, now that they've had a few days, what does that conversion number look like? And then diving into that. So those are the three metrics that are most important. There's other ones that you can look at that'll help you give a bigger picture and broader picture, but those are the three I would definitely recommend starting with. The other one I would say that is overlooked is, if you have your social media accounts, whether it's one platform or, three or four, what's the percentage of those people are your ideal clients? A huge metric that no one really sees or like pays attention to. Say you have 7,000, 10,000 followers, but only 1% of them are your ideal client.
Mhm.
And then, a lot of times we wonder, like, how come I'm not getting likes? How come I'm not getting conversions? How come people aren't looking at me or like opting in? It's because the majority of those people are not your people. Getting an understanding of that tells us a lot. So messaging, are you clear on your ideal client? Are you speaking to them? Do you resonate with their pain? All of that is going to play a role in that metric.
Sometimes that's when you have to start over. I mean,
Kind of be
everybody,
okay with losing
and
people.
I'm guilty of this as well.
I think everyone,
Will
for
be able
sure.
to just connect, just to
Yes.
see people that maybe I went to school, you were a former classmate or something like that. Oh, I love to see how your family's grown over time. But when you're conducting business, it needs to be different. You do have to have something totally dedicated and separate from what's happening in your personal realm. Because those people, yeah, they're gonna be, oh, I like Shaun, so yes, I might tap, but
But I
I'm
might
not
tackle,
gonna go
yeah.
any further than that. That's gonna be it. And I do feel like that is one place I agree with you that people forget that particular part of it. So definitely a great point to drive home. Thank you. Obviously, you've done this for a while. You got it down and you're teaching others how to lead and how to launch. Who has been who or what? Because sometimes it's another product. It's a class that I took or, a conference that I attended. Who or
Yeah.
what has had the biggest influence on your leadership philosophy?
Oh, I would say all of my mentors, but the biggest in terms of my leadership philosophy, I would say was my mentor. His name is Matt Browning. He actually was a huge part of my journey. That's where I got like LP certified. I got the master certification in NLP as well. He really helped me shape my leadership in a way that helped me stand in my power and on top of that, I had other mentors that were after him. I was able to essentially select my mentors in a way that I knew, okay, this is going to feed my business, or this is going to feed me. This is going to help me break through this pattern that I'm having trouble with. From my perspective, it's because of learning all I learned from him and actually being vulnerable about being brutally honest with myself, like, hey, like this is actually a thing for me. Can you help me through it? That allowed him to support me in such a way that essentially I would say shaped my leadership style. Very grateful for him.
You said Matt Browning.
And I would also add because I went through this with my husband, so we did a ton of work just together. Um, in all of this. So if you have been interested in NLP and neurolinguistic programming, do it with your partner. I recommend. They will constantly. So even everything Matt would would teach me or teach either one of us or both of us, we amplified 10 times more just being together and talking about everything and the conversations we would have. I'm like, this should be a podcast. But the depth of those conversations make the learnings you have just 10 times more amplified, I would say. So Matt and my husband, I would say, just huge.
Awesome. He is definitely part of the team and gets to lead with autonomy as
Big
well.
time.
You guys
Yeah.
are on the same page. I mean, you spend the most time with each other, so why
Why
not?
not learn these things and grow together? It just makes those learnings again amplify so much.
What's the best piece of strategic advice that you've ever received, and how did it change your approach? And this was probably early on, and I know sometimes it's hard to drill it down to just one single thing. So I'm totally fine if you give us a group of things or just a core topic.
Yeah, there's a group of things. So, a piece of advice that I received that changed my approach. So, I'll give you one on a personal level. I heard this from, again, another mentor of mine is don't be so attached to who you are as the present that you don't give the future version of you a chance.
Ooh, that's good.
That one was again still sticks with me. So anytime I'm following up with someone and I'm like, oh, am I bugging them? Or maybe there's a lesson I'm needing to learn, or there's a skill I need to learn, and I feel, a little doubt or whatever. I'm like, okay, this is I don't want to be so attached to who I am now because I know where I'm going and I know who I'm meant to be and I know that I'm meant for more, whatever the case is, what I'm telling myself. And don't be so attached to who you are in the present that you don't give the future version of you a chance. Huge. So that's on a personal level. Um, and that does go with business as well, but like in a business level is what I mentioned earlier is being patient with your results, but impatient with your skills or what you're growing in, because that's what you can control, right? That's what you can actually like put effort in or choose not to, right? You can always make a choice on how you want to move forward with things. It's maybe I need a break, right? Like I had my twins, it was almost 7 years ago. I was like, I think I need a couple years to kind of break. I think I need at least a year to breastfeeding. There was a lot going on, even on a personal note. And I was like, I think I need a minute to kind of heal and get myself on track. I was still serving clients, but I wasn't so much going on speaking engagements. So knowing where you're at in your season.
Everything is real, and it always comes back to what you need as a person too, and how you can stay grounded and how you can stay centered. Like you said, you had transitions in life. I mean, you brought home twins. That's huge.
Mhm.
So you can't expect for things to continue operating the way that they were operating prior to that. We have to be able to adjust, and you have to just do it. It doesn't have to feel comfortable in the beginning, but the results are going to they're going to grow from that. You say, just it was business, but just in my personal life, I was going
Yes.
to ask, how do you reconnect with your why when things feel heavy or when they feel misaligned? Because your why doesn't always have to be your clients. Your why
Yeah.
can be, I'm wanting to build generational wealth, or I want to make sure that my children understand and are educated on certain aspects of things. So if they decide to go into business later on, how do you reconnect with your why?
Have it visible always. So on my computer, every time I open it, because I open it obviously every day. So wherever you spend the most time, I open up my laptop and I literally have my vision board on my laptop that I see every day. I learned when I tried to do it on like a poster board or something, my kids love it and they take it and they draw on it and they have fun and I love that for them. And I'm like, you know what? I think I need to have it on a place where I am and I need to see it. And every time I do feel a little discouraged, I can just look at it and be like, okay. So have something visually. I would say even in other senses, like if you think of your five senses, if you like to smell a certain scent and it makes you feel empowered, have that and complement that with a vision board. Or if you need to hear a podcast when you're feeling down, have those resources that maybe in multiple levels, something you read, right? Something you see, a picture, something you hear, something you smell, whether it's sage or candle or something. Have a motivation playlist, have like a, boss babe type of playlist or some like whatever feels you and makes you connected to that in any sense. Think of five senses. Like if you can do one for all five, like imagine, right? That's what I would say. Having some resources just around you all the time that you can tap into.
You made sure that you gave us a multifaceted sort of
Mm-hmm.
example of that. It's not just one thing. I'm a digital girl, so vision boards, people would have vision board parties. And I was like, can we please do soft copies? Because I cannot get into the poster. It never makes it. I recycle. I have kids too. Like there's a lot of things that happen, or it just collects dust. You put it somewhere in the back of the closet and you don't bring it out often enough. But if it's something that's digital, you can go in, you can look at it, of course, very frequently, and you can also edit fairly easy. And then, of course, the scents and the playlist. That is my number one. Like, I have a playlist for everything. And I specifically have an Empower Her playlist because being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. It is
No,
not for the weak.
not
And
at
you
all.
just need some motivation. And if Whitney Houston is going to get me through today, that's
Hey,
what I'm gonna listen to. I'm
do it.
every woman. It's all in me. I can do this. So I love that you shared that. And then of course, playing into your other senses, like with the scents and the candles, that's a form of self-care. Things that
Oh
you
yes.
like, the things telling yourself it's okay, I deserve this. I deserve this journey of where I'm going and what I'm growing into. And I'm going to show myself love and appreciation along the way because you got enough things, the odds that sometimes kind of beat against you. You have to be able to persevere and you don't have to feel like you're struggling the entire time. that you're growing. Those are integral parts to becoming and staying a powerful leader. Now that we've kind of got into that, my next question was going to be, what daily or weekly rituals keep you grounded in your personal power?
So, grounded in my personal power is knowing what makes me feel connected, not just to myself, but allows me to connect with others. Because when you feel deeply connected with yourself and who you are, and I believe that all of us, especially as kids, like we're connected deeply to love. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but when I feel connected to my heart, and what connects me there is love. Even before going on this podcast, something's come up where when I first started doing podcasts and I was being featured, it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to say the right thing? And there's like I feel a little like nervous, and I'm like, okay, if I'm connected, and things are automatically going to flow. So finding all the different things that make me feel connected and connecting to the ground even. So in terms of a routine or something that I do is I go outside, connect with the grass, really feel the sun, and just it doesn't have to be complicated. Even connecting, taking care of myself, I'll do like skincare, right? Skincare doesn't always mean like, oh, I got to take care of my skin, but you're taking care of you and feeling rejuvenated. And in all those ways, I'm loving my skin, right? When you feel like you love your skin, or if you feel like
Glowing.
you love, I'm glowing, and you're like, all this, you feel bubbly, and you're like, yay, like it's that place. That's the leader, right? That's the part of you that you want people to know and get behind. That's when you start to feel that bubbliness and you start to feel playful, and you're like, at least that's for me, right? When I start to feel that, I'm like, okay, I want to serve now. Like I'm ready to coach. If you wake up, like I've done so many times waking up, I did not sleep well. I'm kind of grumpy or whatever the case is, and maybe confused. I've woken up confused before, and I'm like, I must have had a weird dream. I feel confused. So when you feel that, when you wake up, like that's very important. It's like, okay, what's going to make me feel glow? What's going to make me feel better? And for me, it's going outside, maybe doing some skincare, even connecting with my kids when my kids see me. And even though we live in the same house and we see each other every day, always come up to them, you know what, I missed you. Like if they went somewhere, or always kind of just making sure they know that I care about them, because that makes me feel like, okay, I care about myself enough that I can just express that. When there's a block, where am I not even loving myself in this moment, right?
Mhm.
So when I start to feel more grounded is when I know I'm connected to myself, my heart. Love is what it is for me. It could be something different for you, that just maybe a different word. It could be joy, it could be excitement, it could be elevated, glowy. All of those things. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so my routine is just going outside, um, and visualization. I visualize, meditate just for like 5 minutes, journal. Always something that's going to allow you to get to the place that you're looking to get to connect with.
I wanted to address something. You lead with love because that resonates through the camera. A lot of people don't know that when you set up things like this, you haven't had a lot of time to actually speak to that person. You don't really know how things are going to go. How are you going to vibe on camera? What prep work went into it? Was it really needed for you? Not necessarily. I did some pre-production things, but I feel like if I had not done what I did, you were still going to come in here and give us everything that I wanted you to give today. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. And I can see the light and how you're just shining because you got to be in your element. You cannot fake the funk. And people can pick up on when that is actually happening. So thank you. I just want to give you some flowers because this means a lot to me, and I know that it's going to mean a lot to a lot of our viewers as well. And because you are so connected and you are so in tune with your core values, you are showing up as your best version, and
Yeah.
you being your best version is giving everybody else exactly what they need. So we so appreciate you for being here today and doing that. And I'm that type of person too. I'm such a giver.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, I lead with love, and
Yes.
I just want to make sure that somebody feels seen, heard, and you take something away from it. It's not necessarily about numbers, but sometimes we've got to get to the point where it does need to be about numbers, you know?
Yes.
And so taking who you are as the person and turning that into my purpose is not only my purpose, it is going to lead to prosperity because we all deserve that. Being a woman, it can be very difficult because we have our hands on so many things
Uh,
and we are naturally the nurturer and the giver. And we do get lost sometimes. We do remain stagnant sometimes. So
yes.
to be able to hear other powerful women like you is amazing. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is that you are powerful. You are a strong leader, but it's almost like she's so meek and mild, like the, the silent killer. But the numbers show that she's a boss. She
Yes.
is a boss, and so I think that people need to be able to see different representations of what a leader looks like
100%.
because
Yes.
it's not a one size fits all. And if if you're a person that needs that strong arm, okay, then by all means go get that strong arm. But there's somebody out here that is just as successful, just as educated, just as results proven that has a different personality. So thank you for showing up as who you are
You.
and giving us what you're giving us.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And it's a spectrum, right? Like when you are on a podcast or when you're speaking, you do speak from that power. And to me, my power is, and I think it's different for everyone. This is where it is a little different, is when I'm speaking and when I'm on a podcast, I'm operating from like love. I just want to give value, just giving in that giving mode. When we do work together, there is a difference. Because I'll tell you, like, no, this is not right. This will work. This will not work, even if there's resistance. So I can essentially come off, but as like, a bit mild and meek to a degree, especially on stuff like this, because I think this is where I just want to connect with you and essentially allow you to connect with me as well, and just kind of be open to all of that in conversation. And when there is coaching, obviously it's coaching. There is a different dynamic. It is slightly different. And again, like you said, being able to receive someone in those different places are important. This is where, yeah, kind of having different modes, right?
Where can we find all things Carissa? How can our viewers connect with you to be able to learn more?
I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. You can just look up Chris Moreno. There's also chrismoreno.com. Chris is just a shorter version of Carissa. Carissa's the full name. And Chris tends to land a little easier. It tends to be a little bit more memorable. So I just go by Chris as well. So,
Mhm. Okay,
yeah,
so now that you're embracing your soft side during this podcast, so maybe you're gonna just kind of let your hair down a little bit more. I love to play this segment. It's called In a Heartbeat. So I'm gonna get in your business just a little bit and I'm gonna ask you some questions and I want you to just answer with the first thing that comes to mind. So this is the scaling starts here version of In a Heartbeat. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Your superpower in one word.
Honesty.
What does legacy mean to you?
Brilliance. Brilliance. Yeah, who you are.
The first thing you do when you feel stuck.
Go outside. Take a deep breath. Get into creativity.
Right. Scale fast or scale smart.
Smart.
Team or tools. What's critical for scaling?
Oh my goodness. So, team.
Your go-to productivity hack.
Having a list.
One book or podcast that every entrepreneur should consume.
Ooh, so many. Um, well, this one for sure.
Thank you.
This one for sure. I'd also say The Higher Self by Danny Morel. That's a good one as well.
Your business in 3 years, what does it feel like?
It looks like it looks like travel. Looks like more retreats. It looks like retreats. I think I would love to do more retreats if I can.
Sign me up. Okay. So what's one word that your team would use to describe your leadership?
One word, bold.
Best small but mighty investment that you've made in your business?
I would say Kajabi, small but mighty system.
Are you more of a map it out or go with the gut kind of leader?
I would say go with the gut.
If you had to build your team again from scratch, what's the first role you'd hire?
Um, a VA.
VAs, life savers, game changers. A lot of the times, don't be afraid of it. Release and delegate. Let someone else be
The
your
small
body double. Okay. In one sentence, describe what your dream business feels like to run.
smooth.
Let's finish this sentence. Scaling strategically is.
Scaling strategically is smart.
I love all your answers. They were so good, so good. Thank you so much for playing in a heartbeat. And I love the intention that, I'm not gonna give just the answer that's popular. I'm gonna give you the real. Love your transparency. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for that. Carissa, this has been amazing. I have loved, loved, loved this episode. For our viewers out there, you guys don't know the behind the scenes was a little wonky before we got started today,
Yeah.
but we pushed through and we made it happen because we are walking in purpose, right? And
Yes.
we want to make sure that we gave you guys our absolute best. And I think that today you definitely have some things that you can go back, hit rewind. If you didn't have your journal taking notes during this time, go ahead and go back and just watch it again. If you are a business owner, whether it's small, season, whatever it is, wherever you're trying to go, we wish you nothing but the best and success on your journey. And
Yes.
thank you so much for tuning in today. Carissa, I always like to let our guests drive us home. So I'm going to get in the passenger seat and I'm going to let you take us away. So you
Mhm.
got the last word.
The last word, again, goes back to what's coming up for me is lead with your heart, lead with your gut, do what only feels right for you. And again, I reiterate, don't be so attached to who you are in the present that you don't give the future version of you a chance. So
And
go for it.
beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Until next time, we love having you here, part of her, but it is time to go. Take
Yeah.
care of you until we tune in again. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.